Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another basic podcast. We are here smack dab in the middle of our pancreatic cancer podcast marathon fundraiser. We got our next guest joining us. We have Bekka Dowland. How's it going today?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I actually really wanted to be a part of this because my biological father actually passed away from pancreatic cancer. So this actually means a lot to me. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where originally it started off as an idea because my mother passed away from pancreatic cancer in 2021. And originally I was just going to try and do something to try and help fundraise for her medical costs because it was like April and she was like gung ho on making it till Christmas.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that those medical bills are going to get a little expensive. So I was like trying to figure out a way to help my dad out with the medical bills and whatnot. And then she ended up passing a lot quicker.
Yeah.
So then I had a call from the one of the foundations. It was like, hey, we saw the fundraiser you were going to do. Um, do you still want to do that? And I'm like, I guess, and then
Yeah.
here we are 4 years later.
Well, I love that. And I think it's great that you do that.
Yeah. It's become a pivotal part of the year where it's like I now use it as, oh hey, this means I'll have enough podcasts saved up that I could take like a month off and not have to worry about it. So
Which is perfect.
right. So I really appreciate you sharing that story. How long ago did your biological father pass?
It was 9 years in October. So I was
Oh,
19 when he passed away. So I was kind of young.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, it's one of those things where it's that weird time because you're
Mhm.
just starting to get to know them as more than just your parent. And this was a conversation I had with my sister shortly after my mom had passed. It was like, what sucks is we were really just getting to know her as a person and not just our mother.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it was,
it's a very, very weird time because you're like pivoting from like teenager to like kind of adult, but like not
mhm.
adult. Like, yeah, it's like a weird time.
Yeah, absolutely. And so were you close with your dad during that time or?
So I had a little bit of a complicated relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
I loved him very much though, and he loved me very much. But
Hmm.
my parents divorced when I was very young, so it was like
Hmm.
I was with mom, saw dad like on the weekends.
Yeah.
But I would say we got very, very close when he got diagnosed with cancer. That's when I was 18.
Hmm.
And that was in the month of April, was like the first time I saw him in the hospital and everything, and we were figuring everything out. And then he passed in October. So we were really close during that time, and I made sure that I just saw him as much as I possibly could.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Because like, I mean, when like the time is limited, it's like, you got to make that extra effort. So,
yeah. And I think that's when I kind of finally learned too that like every stupid little like fight or disagreement or anything that you were like angry about all of a sudden just kind of like vanishes and it never
hmm.
happened and it doesn't exist. And I really kind of just learned through that whole experience to like not hold grudges and not hold on to anger. I'm like, you know what? I'll be angry about something for like, a good amount of time, but like not the whole day. I won't let it extend into another day. I kind of just try to like release it and be like, it's not even worth it.
Okay. Perfect. And so I'm guessing he was in relative close proximity to you.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, he was.
Cool. Well, I'm glad that you were able to have that time together before he had passed, and thank you for sharing that story. So I really appreciate that.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course.
So how's everything with the music going? How's all that fun stuff been?
I'm good. I've mentioned before we hopped on, yeah, a little in the quiet side of things right now, locking myself in my room, writing, kind of navigating and figuring out what I want to do in the next year. I'm playing an open mic tomorrow, so still kind of doing things, but I'm more so in the like focus, sit down and write mode right now than I am the playing mode, and I love it so far.
Nice. And have you found any new inspiration just kind of sitting with yourself and the music?
Actually, yes. Sitting in like my own thoughts and like peace sometimes it gives me time to like think about things I actually like want to write about that like maybe I hadn't thought about because my mind had so much noise from like everything else going on. I also listened to the new Kelsey Ballerini album, which kind of gave me some inspiration for some other things. That was a great album. Um, and yeah, I'll listen to music in my free time to get inspiration, or I'll go outside for a walk, find inspiration in like nature and being in my own thoughts.
I almost feel like I need to go listen to the Kelsey Ballerini's new album
Really good.
because you are the fifth or sixth person this week that has brought it up.
It's so good. It's so good. But I also love her because her and I are birthday twins. So like
Hmm.
I love her because she's a fellow Virgo. But it's a very good album, very well written, and she kind of just like brought like a new sound to this one, which I really, really liked.
Hmm. Because I remember I got when she was like a special coach on The Voice, and like I mean, she was pretty well known at that point, but I don't like maybe not quite as well as she is now.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, she's just kind of been all over the place. So.
Yes, and I love that for her. I think she's a really good role model for like young women especially, and she's just cool. Like I love how she's just like human and is just I don't know, she's just herself and I love that.
Hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. That's really cool. And
Yeah.
so it's been this new album that's kind of help helping fuel some new music out of you, or
For sure. As of right now, yeah, that's kind of been on repeat. And I just like, I love the sounds. I love the lyricism. And I'm just like, ooh, I'm like, I kind of like this. Like, how can I spin that into my own? Or like, oh, I like the idea of this. Like, how can I tie that into like maybe a story I have to say? Where it's like, I never want to copy anyone, but like,
Mhm.
I gather inspiration from them.
Nice, nice. And
Yeah.
how long are you kind of doing the more writing stuff just because it's that kind of season and things kind of slow down in on the East Coast a little bit, or
Yes and no. I'm just a lover of the writing process
okay.
naturally, no matter what time of year it is. I was even like growing up, I was always like writing stories or writing poems or just writing something, or I was making up songs before I could even play an instrument. So I just love the process of writing, and I'm fortunate enough that that is one of my strong suits. I feel like I'm a very good storyteller, so I love that at all points of the year, but especially now when things kind of slow down more so up here. You know, we actually go into a legitimate winter with actual
Mhm.
snow and like things like that. And like people want to be inside their house.
I feel like that was a shot at Texas because we don't get any actual legitimate snow.
Oh, I love Texas.
It's just ice and like slush for the most part.
Yeah.
Which slush is a lot more dangerous than like you'd think it wouldn't be that bad, but that stuff will mess you up. So
It's the worst, the absolute worst. I would rather have legitimate snow than like
mhm.
sleet and slush any day.
Right, because sleet and slush is going to freeze the second the sun goes down. That
Exactly.
snow, it is kind of what it is, you know.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
it's it's the one thing I don't miss about Chicago. So I don't have to worry about
Sense.
all that. So I do have to ask, how
Yeah.
was the sugar-free lemonade?
Oh my God, that was actually so good. Like they sent Swoon is the company. They sent me a
Mhm.
message on Instagram, and I'm very skeptical when people just send me like DMs. So I went through their whole Instagram, like I went to
Yeah.
their website, I checked them out, and I was like, you know what? They want to send me a case and I don't have to pay for it. By all means, go for it. And then they sent it to
Hmm.
me and I tried it, and it's actually really, really good. Like it was so good that I actually ordered a case of the pink lemonade, and then we ordered a case of their like peach tea. Like it's
Oh,
so good.
nice,
Yeah.
nice. Oh, I might have to try it because like I'm a big drinker of lemonade,
Yeah.
and so I drink monsters. That's kind of like my vice right now.
Yeah.
Uh, and I drink like the rehab, so it's not like super energy. It's more like a sports drink, I guess is the best way
Yeah.
to word it. And they used to have this pink lemonade one that was like absolute fire. And then they stopped making it because I'm pretty sure I was probably the only one drinking it. But
That's the worst.
it
That's the
it's
worst.
like absolute fire. And not that the lemonade one's bad. Like I love the lemonade one too, but that pink lemonade one, it was always like really hard to find. And when you found it, it's like, yep, that's the one I'm grabbing. So
Right. Oh, that's the worst though, when like your favorite one just disappears and you're like, no, why would you do that?
right. Right, right. And like I mean, in all retrospect, the pink lemonade and the lemonade were practically the same thing,
Yeah.
but that pink lemonade, it just hit different.
No, I get it. I get it.
I don't know. And the can looked really cool. Like it was like a black can with pink writing. And it was like, you don't get any cooler than a black can with pink writing.
No, that's it.
Yeah. So, anyways, how's, obviously you'd mentioned that you're kind of in more of a writing season right now, but are you still trying to get out and playing or not really?
A little bit. There's like a local open mic in the next town over from me that I'm actually going to tomorrow, but
Nice.
trying to go to like open mics that are a little bit more like low key because it's only like
Mm,
a few songs. And then in my spare time, writing.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. I'm hoping to come up the East Coast next year. I feel like next year, if I really do everything I want to do, I'm going to be traveling pretty much every other week, which 100% fine. Like I don't mind, but
Yeah.
it's like that car better get ready because it's like, oh, we're going up to the East Coast this week. Sick, you know. So,
Yes. Yes, please do. Please do. It's a good time
right.
up.
It's I've not like I mean been up the East Coast. If you could say going to Washington D.C. is coming up the East Coast,
I mean, that is East Coast.
technically yes,
Yeah.
but but when you think of East Coast, you think of Massachusetts, you think of
Yeah.
New York, all that stuff. So yeah,
Well, I mean, we've got fun things up here, so come on down.
nice. Actually, one thing I really want, if I'm coming up the East Coast, for some reason, I really want to go to Maine.
Yeah, it's a beautiful state.
Yeah, I've heard that, but it's also whenever I talk to musicians that travel a lot, and they're like, "Yeah, man, the goal is to get to all 50 states in the next 2 years." And then I talk to them 2 years later, and it's like, "Yeah, I've got 49 states. The only one I haven't been to is Maine." And it's like, that's probably one of the easier ones to get to if you really want to go to it. You'd think like
It
Alaska,
really is.
like when it's Alaska, that makes sense, but it's like, nope, Maine. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, no, no,
Oh,
Maine's a beautiful, beautiful state, beautiful beaches, great seafood. Like, oh my gosh, no, it's such a pretty state.
all you had to say was seafood. You got me at seafood.
Well, I mean, really anywhere in New England, like
Yeah.
you'll find nothing but good seafood here for sure. That I stand
Yeah.
by.
I mean, I'm sure it's very similar to like the West Coast or the East Coast of Florida. Like they've got really
Yeah.
good seafood and all that stuff. I'm sure it's probably a little bit different because you're probably not catching mahi off the coast of New England.
Yeah. Yeah, we're more like lobster and like haddock and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
fair,
Still
fair,
good though.
fair. I keep because everybody asks me if I've ever had lobster, and that's just
Oh,
my excuse from now on.
perfect.
So
You won't be
it
disappointed.
right. It's one of those things that's like if I'm going to try something for the first time, I want the best.
Oh, that makes perfect sense to me for sure.
Yeah. Like even if I go my entire life with, I'd rather go my entire life without trying lobster than getting it in like Louisiana or something.
No, it makes sense.
Not that Louisiana wouldn't have good lobster, but
Right, 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 right. But yeah, I don't think they're known for that. So it's like you want
no,
to go to the place where like they're known for that. I get it. I got you. That makes sense to me.
I try to have logic and reasoning in my thought process, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So
Hey, it makes sense to me.
yeah, for sure. So how's life outside of music?
Life is actually really good. No complaints, which is great. How are you? How's everything going? I know you're busy, but outside of work, my bills, they're doing great this season, so we're good all around.
Uh, yeah, you see, like I had a lot of hope for the Chicago Bears, and I knew like the first 4 games are going to be tough.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, you're going to go through the growing pains of a rookie quarterback. And like the preseason didn't help. Like you come out of the preseason 4-0, and it's like, oh, this team's ready to ride. Let's
Yeah.
go. And then you come out week 1 and barely beat the freaking Tennessee Titans. And it's like, oh boy. And then you lose to Houston. Yeah. So yeah. Good on
It
you for the Bills, though.
could be worse though. It could be worse. But yes, good for the Bills. The only game I'm nervous about is Kansas City, but that's a given. That's become a rivalry at this point, which is
Mm-hmm.
always very interesting to watch, and I love watching it. I have nothing against the Chiefs. I just really want to win.
Yep. I have no reason to root for the Bills right now because normally in my fantasy leagues, I have Josh Allen.
Ah, yes.
But Josh Allen let me down so many times last year that I was like, I'm not drafting him.
I'm so sorry.
And it was like, now it's like, dang it, I wish I had Josh Allen. I wish I had freaking Josh Allen. So,
Well, it's funny that you bring up fantasy because, like, I don't talk about this a lot, but my stepdad calls me the quarterback killer because for whatever reason, every single year we start and fantasy starts, right? And I start somebody. Poor Aaron Rodgers, okay? I've had Aaron Rodgers for like the past 3 years, and I go to start him and something bad happens to him.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, all right. I'm like, we'll start another quarterback, start them, something happens to them. And he's like, what are you doing to these people? I'm like, I'm literally just asking them to get me points on my fantasy team.
It's like,
It's so bad.
it's like your dad starts hedging his bets and he's like, all right, so
So
we're
bad.
playing Kansas City. You need to go figure out how to go get Patty Mahomes. And
So
no, this year I was playing it really smart. I was like, it came down to because so I'm in 2 leagues. One league is a
bad.
work league, and we got like 14 teams. It's a bigger league, but it's not too bad. And see, like your bench players, it's a little spread thin, but it's really not that bad. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick up Darnell Mooney and Stefon Diggs just
Mhm.
because I picked them up later in the draft, and I was like, okay, those are gonna be like my, haha, I told you guys, were passing on them,
Yeah.
and then Stefon Diggs did really well, and then he got freaking tore his ACL, and I'm like,
Yep.
well, that sucks. And then my other fantasy league, it's got 20 teams,
Oh, geez.
and so I'm sitting there like, okay, like there's guys in this league that are undefeated, and I'm like, how the hell are you guys undefeated? Like, I just lost Anthony Richardson. He got benched.
Yeah.
And he's not starting the rest of the season. And I'm like, I got to go find a freaking quarterback now because it's Joe Flacco. Like that's who I've got. It's like, dang it. So, and
Oh, yeah.
so like when you're going into your bench players, you're drafting like actual second stringers. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the depth chart that well. Like I just got to kind of guess at this point.
Right. Oh,
So
no. Fantasy's crazy.
that one I'm just hoping to make the playoffs. It's like everybody's kind of spread really thin right now, and it's like, all right, if I can make the playoffs and just kind of make a run in the playoffs, I'll be all right. But I was able to pick up Geno Smith, and it's like, all right, I'm gonna ride the Geno Smith train for right now and just let him go. So,
Hey, we got to do what we got to do.
mm-hmm. So no, that's cool. I'm glad you brought up the football thing, but
Sure.
other than that, everything else is good. We're getting ready to go out to Tucson the end of the month, so that'll be fun. We're gonna do a little quick out and back. It'll be basically I'm leaving on Friday, the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
We're doing a live podcast at a brewery out there, and I'm swinging out to New Mexico to go pick up my buddy, and then Saturday we'll drive out to Tucson, drive back Saturday night, and
Nice.
yeah,
Love that.
a lot of time on the road. But you know what? It's an opportunity to do something we've wanted to do for a very long time. So
And that's awesome.
yeah, it'll be
Love
fun, and
it.
hopefully I get to bring it up the East Coast.
Hopefully, that would be amazing. I would love that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, and I mean, I'm sure I've told you this before because my buddy, he's from Worcester.
Yep.
And so he's like, dude, I got to get you up there. I got to introduce you to like the crew. I'm like,
Uh,
well, I don't know if I want to meet a crew of 50 because he's like 10 years older than me. Like, there's a little bit of an age difference. And I was like, I don't know if I want to meet a crew of 50-year-olds from Boston. Like, that might be a little weird, but it is what it is. And he's like, no, there's some really talented musicians up there. And I was like, oh, I know. You've not been listening to the podcast recently, so.
love
But
that. Love it.
yeah, but yeah, no. Hopefully, I'm really like manifesting a lot of road trips this year because, or next year, because I'd really like to kind of make this my main focus, and then my day job can kind of fall into the background a little bit. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Love that. And we love manifestation. I'm a huge manifestation person myself, so love that.
nice. What are you trying to manifest for yourself in 2025?
Oh God, a lot. But I don't know. More live shows. Possibly a bigger project than what I've done. Maybe like a little mini tour of New England or something. We'll see.
Nice.
A lot of good vibes in 2025, I feel like.
Maybe a swoon sponsorship.
Honestly, yeah, I would love to work with them again. I'm telling you, it was so good.
Nice. Oh man, I saw that video pop up on Instagram. How long ago did you just recently posted that,
Like,
right?
yeah, like a couple days ago, maybe last week. I don't know.
Yeah. I,
I'm
I
the
was sit I was sitting at work and I was scrolling through Instagram and it popped up and I was like, I had like three people sitting in my office and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna listen to this right now. But I just kind of like the video was playing or
yeah.
whatever, and I'm like, all right, cool. I'll remember. And then like I think it popped up later, like a couple days later again, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch that video. And then it popped up literally right before you came on, and I was like, well, instead of actually like listening to it, I'm gonna just ask her at this point. So
No, that's really cool. Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, it was just like really out of the blue. And then they're a smaller company, but I guess they are now at the Miami Dolphin like concessions in there, like at the
nice,
stand. They just got that like approved, so that's really cool. So maybe it'll be something bigger. I don't know, but it's very good.
nice. And they actually commented on the video, so that was really cool.
Yeah, that was really nice of them. They're super nice. The girl, I think her name is Alex. She's very
Yeah,
sweet.
nice, cool. Well, I will remember that when I start promoting this episode. Just like
Perfect.
pull this out, and
Crack
it's like,
one.
hey guys, if you want to make a donation, here's the link. I appreciate y'all. So, oh man.
Perfect.
But I don't want to keep you here too much longer. If anybody wants to check out your music, shows, any upcoming shows, social media, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
Literally everywhere. All of my socials are just my name at Bekka Dowland, BekkaDowland, or they can go to my website, bekkadowland.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, once again, thank you so much. Make sure you all go check out Failures and Fairy Tales, her Bekka Dowland's EP that she released June, right? If I remember
June,
correctly.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, June.
Yeah, because we had you on in June. And I was like,
Did.
okay. Yeah. But this year's been like the fastest, longest year of my life, which is really weird.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that happened this year? Wait a minute. What? And then like, it's like now it's November. So
Yeah, crazy.
so here we are. But once again, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We will have our next guest up here in a little bit.